Thank you. Synonymous. Yata, from whom. Aprapya, being unable to measure. Naya vartanta, cease to try. Vacha, words. Cha, also. Manasa, with the mind. Saha, with. Aham cha, also the ego. Anye, other. Ime, all these. Deva, demigods. Tasmai, unto him. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Namaha, offer obeisances. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Words, mind, and ego, with their respective controlling demigods, have failed to achieve success in knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto Him as a matter of sanity. Purport. The froggish calculator may raise the objection that if the Absolute is unknowable, even by the controlling deities of speech, mind, and ego, namely the Vedas, Brahma, Rudra, and all demigods headed by Brahaspati, then why should the devotees be so interested in this unknown object? The answer is that the transcendental ecstasy enjoyed by the devotees in delineating the pastimes of the Lord is certainly unknown to non-devotees and mental speculators. Unless one relishes transcendental joy, naturally one will come back from his speculations and concocted conclusions because he will see them as neither factual nor enjoyable. The devotees can at least know that the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, as the Vedic hymns confirm. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyati Suryaha. Bhagavad Gita 15.15 also confirms this fact. Vedesha Sarvar Aham Eva Vedya. By culture of Vedic knowledge, one must know Lord Krishna and should not falsely speculate on the word aham or I. The only method for understanding the supreme truth is devotional service, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.55. Bhaktya mam abjananti yavanyasya chasmi tattvataha. Only by devotional service can one know that the ultimate truth is the personality of Godhead and that Brahman and Paramatma are only his partial features. This is confirmed in these words by the great sage Maitreya. With devotion, he offers a sincere surrender namaha to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Bhagavate. One has to follow in the footsteps of great sages and devotees like Maitreya and Vidura, Maharaja Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami, and engage in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord if one would know his ultimate feature, which is above Brahman and Paramatma. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the third canto, 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Creation of the Universal Form. Om Jnanatirmandasya Jnananjanan Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitan Yene Tashmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Satpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shutapadkamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Shagrayatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagalatan Shivishakan Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Desatarine Namo Mahavadanaaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratasve Namah Panchadadvakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakam Nimi Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Varshabhano Sute Devi Paramami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So this verse is being spoken by Maitreya Muni to Vidura. So we are starting with this sloka. Prabhupada is telling a froggish mentality. So Prabhupada always used to say a story of Dr. Frog. So there was a frog in a well who was staying. The well is like around 4 feet depth water. For the frog, that was the whole world because it never went out of that well. So for him, that well is the world. So that whatever he could see in that well, that is what he thought this is the world. So there another frog approached to him and say, "Hey, what are you doing here?" So he says, "Okay, I'm here living in my world here." Okay. So he says, like, I have been to Atlantic Ocean. That is so huge than this. This well is nothing in front of that. This frog thinks, okay, how big it can be. How big it can be. Okay, my well is like 4 feet. At the max, it will be 5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet, double, 10 feet. Not more than that. How big it could be. So, but this person was saying, no, it's a so vast ocean of body of ocean, water, that it is so huge. But this frog is always thinking with respect to that well only. So this is the mentality of the so-called scientists. They could only perceive what is there in this material world. They do not know anything beyond that. That's why it is said, wherever science ends, that's where spirituality begins. Okay. So that's how, that's why Prabhupada always uses, these scientists are speculators. They don't really have any kind of the transcendental knowledge. With their material knowledge, they try to speculate and try to define the cosmos and define the supreme. That's why they could not understand the personality of Godhead. For them, it is easy to say that there is no God, because then so much of theories and everything they do not need to prove. They just accept that there is no God. That's it. That's how they say that. So over here also, what we can see, what in the shloka it is said, all the great devotees, like Brahma, the speech is by the Vedas, mind is by Brahma, ego is by Rudra. All these demigods, even Brahaspati, everybody try to understand the Supreme Lord, but still they cannot understand it. Like we have studied, in this chapter, itself in this canto, where when Brahma was born on the lotus flower and he went down, following the stem of the lotus, trying to find where is God, where is the supreme creator who has created him. So he tried to go deeper and deeper. He could not find. So we ourselves, with our own endeavor, we cannot understand God. So until unless the Lord shows His mercy upon us. That's why it's very difficult, to understand without becoming His devotee. So here also, like we cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Here, Brahma Vyoma Leela is very perfect here, saying that like how the coward boys were eating their lunch, how Krishna was eating from their plate. Not only that, he was grabbing from their hand half eaten stuff, and he was grabbing from their hand and grabbing it and putting in his mouth. And from top, Brahma is saying all this. And he's saying, how can this be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? No, he cannot be. He cannot be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's how, but until and after that Leela, he actually understood that yes, Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality. Even Lord Brahma, got bewildered. Indra, so we saw in Lord Krishna's pastime how they were bewildered. So many devotees. What about to speak about the normal human beings who were there on the earth? But even the great gods, demigods, they were also bewildered. Whereas in the same story, when Krishna was playing in the forest of Vrindavan, so there were some Brahmanas doing yajnas. The Brahmanas were very much, into following the rituals, everything, jnana, Vedas, and everything. So the Krishna sent some of his friends saying, okay, we are very hungry. Krishna and Balaram are here and we are very hungry. Please give us something to eat. They go and talk to the Brahmanas. They say, no, how can we give it to you? Because it is not even offered yet. We cannot do that. It will be offensive if we do not offer it to the Lord and then give it to the small boys. So you have to wait. So then they go back to Krishna and say, okay, the Brahmanas are telling us to wait. It is not offered. So, okay, say Krishna Balaram say, okay, now Krishna says, go and now talk to the Brahmana wives and tell them that Krishna and Balaram are here. And then they are very hungry and thirsty. So then they go and tell the Brahmana wives, oh, Krishna Balaram are here. They are very hungry and thirsty. They wanted something to eat. He said, oh, really? Krishna Balaram are here? So they themselves took everything, whatever they cooked for the offering, everything. They personally took it and they started feeding Krishna and Balaram, Lord Krishna and Balaram. See, that's why, only devotees can know this absolute truth. That's why in the, that's why Prabhupada is saying here, Bhaktya Mam Abhijananti. Only my devotees can know me. And the same thing, same way, it is said in the Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Anadimanantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha Vedesha Sudurlama Madurlama Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Hey Krishna, it is very difficult to know you by studying the Vedas. Vedesha Durlabam. It is very Durlabam just by studying the Vedas. This is Brahma. Lord Brahma is singing in Brahma Samhita. Whereas Adurlabam Atma Bhakto, it is very, very easy for your devotees to know you. So we can understand that we cannot, by our own endeavor or mental spectrum of Jnana, Vedas, Tapasya, we cannot understand Lord Krishna until unless it is by His mercy. That's why also in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says in the 8th chapter, Vedeshu Yagneshu Tapeshu Chaiva Dhaneshu Yat Punya Palam Pradisthitam. No? Krishna cannot be understood by Vedas, Yagyas, Tapasyas, or by doing charity. It is very difficult to understand the Supreme Lord. So, only by devotional service, you can understand Him. That's why, Lord Krishna is also saying, as Prabhupada is saying, by culture of Vedic knowledge, one must know Krishna. By knowledge, we need to develop detachment. By detachment, we need to come to the stage of self-realization. And then once we have self-realization, then only our life will be passive and will be suprasiddhita, happy. If the knowledge is not developing us detachment from this material world, then that kind of knowledge is of no use. Then it becomes shravana hi kevalam. Hmm. So instead of, falsely identifying ourselves as I, my, and me, so we should identify ourselves as a Dasano Das of the Supreme Lord. So then only, see, it is said that once when we are trying to engage in this material world for our own sense gratification, use for the senses for our own sense gratification, then we have to be revolving in this repeated cycle of Janma Murtyu Jara Vyadi. But whereas if he uses our own senses in to serve the Rishikesha, the master of the senses, then we can be really happy. Then only we can be really happy. It is not just, saying it, and we can see that practically. See, how much ever we are trying to enjoy in this material world, it is always, temporary and it is limited. But whereas, when we are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, we get that relish, we get that nectar, we enjoy that. So that is the beauty of this bhakti yoga. That's why, it is very difficult for, mental speculators, as proper, very difficult to understand the karma yogis, the dhyanis, very difficult for them to understand the Supreme Lord. And the Mayavadis, especially the Mayavadis, they don't accept the supreme form of the Lord. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna says, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhaktya Mama Abhijananti. Sorry, Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktya Mama Abhijananti. He says that only by devotional service can one know that the ultimate truth is the personality of Godhead. It's only by devotional service. Otherwise, it's not possible to understand the personal feature of the Lord. Otherwise, we'll also be engaged in this Brahman realization or Paramatma realization. So many people in the world, they are all engaged in this Brahman realization. They want to become God. They want to become one with the Lord. They want to have the Paramatma relation. But only the full aspect of the Lord can only be revealed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why it's very important for us to, understand this Bhakti Yoga as Prabhupada is teaching us. As Maitreya Muni is teaching Vidura. So, because if, see, Bhagavatam teaches us how to love God. We can only love God when He is existing. If He is some power or some Brahman, how can we love Him, constantly? How we can engage in that? We cannot be engaging, with the impersonal thing for a very, very long time. That's why it's very important for us to take these teachings of Bhagavad Gita, how Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna, how Bhagavatam is teaching us. That's why this is, the Paramatma relation and Bhagwan relation, they just speculate. They speculate that the Lord would be like this, the Lord would be like that, but they don't know. For example, Jesus Christ said, to love God in the Bible. His message was to, he clearly said, I'm the Son of God, and we all have to love God, the Supreme Father. So people who are following this message are actually the true Christians. Whereas if take only Jesus Christ and worship him as God and not follow his instructions of love the supreme God, then how can they be the real followers of Jesus Christ? Then how can they be the real Christians? They're not following the instructions. So whereas we, the devotees, are actually following Lord Jesus Christ's message to love God, and we are doing in the footstep of his. So this is all speculations are going on. Especially, it's very much is much more in this age of Kali Yuga. People try to create their own rules and regulations and try to create so that they can accommodate their needs and their desires in the name of spirituality. So that's why, to not go wrong, so one has to follow in the footsteps of Maitreya. As Prabhupada is saying, Maitreya, Vidura, Maharaj Parikshit, Sukadeva Goswami, all this, and engage in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord. So, if it is, for us to, as Prabhupada used to say, we have, it is said, if when we are following Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru, we can never be wrong. See, as it is said in the Shastras, it is said, touching a stool, is very contaminated, so we have to take bath. But whereas we use cow dung even for the abhishek in the sacrificial arena place, there we use cow dung, to purify that place. It is said, the bones should not be touched. When we touch a bone, we need to take bath. But whereas we use conch shell to do even abhishek of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to follow the Shastras. And how can we understand the Shastras? By following the Acharyas who are constantly, engaged in studying these Shastras. We have to follow the Acharyas who explains the Shastras to us, because otherwise in the Shastras also, there are loopholes. So people take some loopholes and then they try to create their own things. But to understand the real, we need the help of Acharyas, the pure devotees of the Lord, to understand the real meaning of it. And how do we see the Acharyas following them? So that's why we have to accept and follow a guru who follows the Shastras and the Acharyas. So that's why we have to follow. When we follow this Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru, we can never be wrong. So we do not want to define God, or we do not want to become God, but we want to love God. That is the message of here Maitreya Muni is giving to Vidura. That we should not be, great devotees have, even tried to understand God. But it will be only just a speculation. Because imagine, how can a material living entity can define the spiritual absolute truth? It is not possible. The material brain cannot define, the absolute truth. If we are doing it, then we are able to, if we are able to define God, then how can he be God? because a human brain is able to capture him. As he's not able to capture, that's why he's God. That's why I said, wherever science ends, that's where spirituality starts. So we cannot speculate. We cannot define God. We have to just follow him and follow his instructions, and we have to love him. How, see, even though it is very surprising to us, like, how the coward people, the Brajvasis, how Krishna was showing them miracle, one miracle after another, one miracle after the other. But they were just always thinking, oh, he's just a little boy, eating butter, stealing butter here and there. He's playing with his cow boyfriends, going with the cows here and there. How can he be God? Even the most wonderful thing is everybody is seeing him face to face lifting the Govardhana hill. They're thinking, oh, he's just holding it, so we will also help him. So everybody was thinking that, okay, we are also helping him. And Krishna took that as their devotional service. That's how the merciful, the Supreme Lord is. It is very surprising to see that. How, even though Krishna was showing, they were not ready to accept that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He kills Putana, he just kills Trinamarta, who was creating havoc, Kesi demon, Arishtasura, Bakasura. He even gulps the whole fire. The coward boys were there in the jungle, he gulps the whole fire. He says, oh, Krishna, you saved us. Everybody saw him dancing on Kalia. Mother Yashodharma, as soon as Krishna comes, oh, my little boy, he might be tired. The snake was enchanted him. It would have done. And she always used to, as soon as some demigod, this thing she hears, she always used to, remove all the thinking some black magic is around my boy. So she used to try to see that no black magic is coming near to him. They were always wanted to see Lord Krishna as a little, coward boy. That's the Vrindavan pastime. That is the most. That's why Krishna was saying, like, how can I repay their love to these Brajavasis? How can I repay them? Their love is so much to me. They don't even accept me as a supreme. They think that I'm their coward boy. So that's how the Supreme Personality, he cannot be understood by the mental speculators. People are just being speculating the Supreme Lord for so many years. As I said, like, Dr. Frog. There are so many Dr. Frogs nowadays also. They just want to defeat God. They themselves will be vanished, but the material world will keep on going on. So that's why Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad, that's why he is showing this Vishwarupa also in this chapter, the universal form, and telling how everything is coming through him. He is the sum and bonum, the Mahatattva, everything is coming through him. So it is as Maitreya Muni is saying, very, very big people have already speculated it. We should not be speculating. We should just surrender to him and worship him. It is said, like, in our IT world, we say, do not invent the wheel, just use the wheel. The wheel is there, just take it and use it. Do not try to invent it again. So, as speculate as mental speculators have tried, and the acharyas, as I said, like the acharyas have already have seen the truth. So we have to just follow them in their footsteps. Then only we'll be able to be successful. So as because it is said, like, why? Because if you see in Bhagavatam also, there are so many stories about the Supreme Lord and his pastimes, different incarnations, expansions. You know, so many people were trying to speculate him, but still they could not understand who the Supreme Lord is. So that's why, as a devotee, as a bhakti yoga, when we are practicing, we have to understand this, the potency of the Supreme Lord. And we have to accept how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that I have invested all my energies and powers into this holy name. Just by chanting these holy names, we can still, feel the existence of the Lord in this holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So even in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can see how he was defeating. West Bengal was full of Mayavadis that time. Full of Mayavadis. There were so many scholars, but they were very much, proud of their Vedanta Sutra knowledge and all these things. So, but Chaitanya Prabhu came. He said, I'm a fool. I don't understand this Vedanta Sutra. I do not understand this. I'm very much happy in just chanting the holy names of the Lord. I'm very much happy in trying to know the Vrindavan pastimes of the Lord. This Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's why he handwritten this Krishna Karnamritam and Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma Samhita. He found somewhere in the south, when he was touring south of India, he found these two scriptures, one of the temples. So he actually handwritten this and then brought it back to Jagannath Puri. And that's how all the devotees got it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually handwritten, because that time there was no Xerox or printers or anything. So if somebody wants to make a copy, they have to handwrite it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself wrote those and got it. So he got them handwritten and then he gave to the devotees when he came back to Jagannath Puri. So we can see, in Brahma Samhita, how Lord Brahma is saying that you are the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. And even though so many scholars were there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was defeating them one after another and always proving that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the absolute truth. There are so great stories. Like recently we heard how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a scholar of chief of all the scholars. He was explaining Vedanta Sutra for 1 week. He explained him. And then asking, okay, are you following me? Are you able to understand me? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, yes, I am understanding, but the interpretation of yours of the Vedanta Sutra, that's what I don't understand. Then he explains how in devotional service, how the Vedanta Sutra is. Actually, the Vedanta Sutra, the commentary of Vedanta Sutra is Srimad Bhagavatam. From there itself, we can understand. The original commentary of the Vedanta Sutra is Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam, what is Bhagavatam? It teaches us how to love God. See, Bhagavad Gita teaches us who's God, who are we and who is God. But Bhagavatam teaches us how to love God. Okay. So that's how it is there. So it's very important, this, how Maitreya Muni is saying that. See, he himself is a big scholar. And he's telling, okay, we should not be speculating it. We should just, offer our namana, offer our to Bhagavate, offer our obeisances to the Supreme Lord. That's how he's saying. So it's not possible for us to define the Supreme Lord. We just need to, we don't want to, as I said, we do not want to define him. We do not want to become one of God, one with the God, but we just want to love him. Okay. So here I will stop for today. And if any questions or any comments, please feel free to do so. Hare Krishna. I'll probably share if you don't want. Here is the shloka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Real easy question. Did you say that Brahma was the demigod of the mind?
Yes, it's here written. Right? Speech,
Okay.
speech is Vedas, as you see.
Yep.
Speech is Vedas, mind Brahma, and ego is Rudra.
Rudra. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, they are, see, as we can see here, the Vedas, Brahma, Rudra, as I said, like, Vedash aham eva vedyo, as Lord himself is saying, Vedash sarvar aham eva vedyo. From the Vedas, I am to be known. See, Lord Krishna is clearly saying, from all the Vedas, I am to be known. But there are, Shiv Purana, Devi Puran, all the other Puranas are there. So many Purana scriptures, Vedic scriptures are there. But ultimately, we need to understand the Supreme Lord himself from that. If we are only following those scriptures and then trying to go in that, so then we'll not be able to understand Supreme Lord. That's why, if you see, this is not very much common in the Western world, because we are over here the concept is only one God, but in India the concept they have is like many gods. That's why the speculation is that you can worship any god and reach to the same destination. It is as good as saying I can go to Philadelphia airport, and if I want to go to Los Angeles, so I can take any flight and go there. Can I do that? Can I take any flight and go there? I cannot take a Florida Miami flight and go to Los Angeles. I cannot. I will go to Miami. So, but this is the simple logic, we cannot, so we cannot say that. And Lord Krishna is saying clearly that, demigod worship is clearly saying it's for the less intelligent people. If we are really intelligent, that's why he says, Bahunam Janmanamante, Jnanavan. That's why he says, after many, many births, the real intelligent people who surrender Vasudevam Sarvamiti, you surrender only to Vasudeva. They accept the Vasudeva Sarvamiti. He says the Vasudeva, the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's how we understand him. And we have to follow this. We cannot have, if as always used to say, if we are saying that I love this sweet, that means this is my first preference. Even if you keep 100 different varieties, my first preference is this sweet. I cannot say I love this sweet, I love that sweet. And so ultimately there is one sweet which you like the most. For that you can even let go other sweets. So like that, there is only one Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to accept that Supreme Personality of Godhead. As from the Vedic scriptures, as from the Acharyas, it is Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. It is clearly said. So that's why we are worshipping the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. That's why Prabhupada was very particular about, not to have any kind of demigod worship, because Especially Indians, if they start having demigod, that's why if you see, like, we do not have any kind of demigod, because the thing is that as soon as some demigods things would have come, then people would have been very much attracted to them rather than to the original personality of Godhead. And that's how you see, if you go to any temple, Indian temple, any Hindu temple over here also, you'll see that there will be so many gods. Even though Lord Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan, or Sita Ram or Lakshman or Krishna would be in the middle, but there will be so many gods around, and they will be worshipping everybody. See, as we are saying, like, we do not, as Prabhupada taught us, that we should not disrespect them. We should be respecting all the demigods, but we should be loving and worshipping only the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Shri Krishna. We can pray to them to give us that intelligence, that strength to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. We can pray to them, but we cannot, we can ask them to give us that intelligence, that knowledge by which we can serve the Supreme Lord. Any further questions? Anybody has any realizations or any reflections to share? Hare Krishna. Okay then. So
Very nice, Prabhu. Very nice class. You explained it nicely.
okay.
Not everyone can understand Krishna. It's very difficult. That's why we have so many worshippers of so many other gods. But for Krishna, Krishna just he reveals himself to you. You know, we cannot understand Krishna. And the
Yeah.
best way, Prabhupada, like you already mentioned, is to chant the holy name of the Lord. We can. That's the only way we can in Kali Yuga, especially. To understand Krishna by chanting the holy name of the Lord.
Yeah. This is very important here. He's saying that this line here. Therefore, we do not want to, do anything. As I said, like, do not try to invent the wheel again. If the wheel is there, just use it. If you want to make a bicycle, do not try to invent the wheel again. You just take the wheel and then you build your own bicycle, but do not try to invent the wheel. That is not the purpose. So, as we wanted to love God, we do not want to try to understand, okay, let me find who's God and this and that. Okay, yeah. To know that, as it is said, like, we need to go to the mother, ask who's my father, real father is, and the Vedic scriptures clearly shows that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a real father. On top of that, if you no, I will do my DNA test, I will do this test, I will do that test to find out, is he really my father or is somebody else? There are so many fathers, so many relatives are there. So out of them, so all these demigod, Devi Devatas are there. So how can I can let them go? Only one can be. How can he be only one? If I speculate, then there is no. So that's why he's saying, like, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto him as a matter of sanity. We do not want to, we don't see, our life is very spacious. We do not, in Kali Yuga especially, we do not have much time to do R&D and all this. Anyway, like half our life is already over. But we wasted already in the education, trying to get materially established and all those things. So at least now, when we come to, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are getting this mercy. So then we have to make the best use of it. That's why we have to just simply have to accept. As I said, like, Sadhu Shastra and Guru, as I explained, we have to follow the Shastras. Shastras give us the real knowledge. And to understand Shastras, we have to follow the Acharyas. And to understand and to follow the Acharyas, we have to follow a Guru.
Prabhu, when you said, like you say Manushanam, sorry, so Gyanavam, you have to be very knowledgeable, then you can understand who is Krishna is. So can you talk a little bit, what mean, like, you have to be like a scholar or something just to understand Gyanavam Mam Prapajati?
No, okay. Very, very important thing, to understand Krishna, we do not, as I said, we do not want to understand Krishna. We just want to love Krishna. So let me give some examples here. How Lord Krishna, when he was there, um, how it is been done. Okay. See, I will give some names. By that, we can understand how merciful the Lord is. See, to love Krishna, we do not need to become to come to a maturity stage or anything. Even at a young age, we can still start worshiping Lord Sri Krishna, as how Prahlad Maharaj did, Dhruva Maharaj did. To understand Krishna, to love Krishna, it doesn't necessarily that we need to have this human form of the body, as how Gajendra had an elephant body, but still he got perfection by worshipping him, by praying to him. It doesn't matter that we need to be all rich, all opulence. Even Sudama could attract the Lord by his, when even he was in a very daridra state, but still with his pure bhakti, he could attract Lord Sri Krishna. It doesn't necessarily need to have a very, very beautiful body, a beautiful features on us. He could get the Lord, Kubja could attract Lord Sri Krishna by her devotion. It doesn't need for us to have a big aristocratic family. Even though if you are born in a lower caste family, lower birth, still we can attract how Vidura attracted by his devotion the Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna doesn't see all this. He just sees how my devotee is worshipping me. How is he engaged in my service? By all these examples, we can see Lord Krishna doesn't see all that. He just sees Bhaktya Mama Vajananti. How my devotee is offering. That's why Patram Pusham Phalam Toyam. Ome Bhaktya Prayanshiti. I offer all that only Bhaktya Mam Abhijanante. Like with one who offers with devotion, then will I accept it. See, Lord Krishna sees only that. See, and also, like Lord Ramachandra, when he was getting coronated, and when he came back after fighting with Ravana and everything is done, so Mother Sita and Lord Ramachandra was getting coronated again. So they were remembering one personality. You know whom? They were remembering Jatayu. Jatayu was trying to protect Mother Sita because everybody was there when he was getting coronated. All Lord Hanuman was there. All the Varnas were there. Everybody was there. All his friends, everybody was there. But they were both were remembering Jatayu. See, Jatayu was trying to protect Mother Sita from Ravana. And was successful? He was even unsuccessful. He failed. He got killed. But what Lord Ramchandra and Mother Sita saw? He put his 100% effort. Success or failure is not the matter. He put his 100% effort, and that's why even at the time of coronation, they were remembering him. Okay. Okay, Mother, I hope I answered your question. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anybody has anything more?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Very nice class, Prabhu. I just wanted to, I have one thing in my mind. Like, you said, like, about Jesus, right? He said, like, he clearly said that he's the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
But how can he never mention about like Krishna's name? And so many other religion, they have their own thing, and nobody knows about Krishna. I don't know. They all are like in different direction. So I don't understand why they don't like, if Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and they never mention his name.
Yes. Thank you for your question, Mataji. This is also a very important question because, see, as we can understand, when Lord Jesus Christ was there, he was preaching to the washermen and fishermen. So they were not very intelligent, because they were not that intelligent people. So he was preaching them how to love God, and he was giving the 10 commandments. Okay, you do this, So then what happens? He's saying, "Thy you chant, thy, thou you follow my commandments, then you come to the kingdom of heaven. And then I will teach you the love of God. And then I will take you to God's place." So what he was saying that, by following these 10 commandments, then you will acquire a lot of punya karma, then you will come to the Swarga.
Okay.
Then I will meet you there. Then I will teach you the real Krishna consciousness there. And then from there, you can go back home, back to Godhead. Because Lord Krishna's, Jesus Christ used to say, there is a lot to say, but if I tell you, you will not be able to understand this. See?
Yes.
So that's why, if you say, okay, why Lord Buddha, even that time, even in 1200, 1100, before 1100, that time, Lord Buddha could have spoken about Lord Krishna. Why he brought this voidism? He himself is a Supreme Personality of God, an incarnation of Supreme. Why he told everybody to practice non-violence and just practice voidism? Because that was the need of that in that time and place and circumstances, that was the need. So similarly, when Lord Jesus Christ was speaking, even though he knew everything, he is a Vaishnava, so he knew everything, so he could not speak because the people were not ready to understand. See, people were really intelligent, they would have not crucified him. That from there we can understand how people mentality were there that time of.
Mm-hmm.
They would have not crucified him. That's why he just gave the 10 commandments. He said, okay, you follow this. Then you come to the Swarga. There I will meet you. Then I will take you back home, back to God. But
Very
whereas
nice.
we, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are getting this, from here itself, by chanting the holy names of the Lord itself, directly we can go back home, back to God. This is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Prabhupada is given to us.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nicely explained. I understand now.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for joining today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhasha kripa
Vasindhubhyev cha
sindhu
patitanam pavanebhyo
Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namaha.
namo namaha.
Anand Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Brother Prabhu. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much. Hare Krishna.